So, last class, we just began this chapter 25, which is the beginning of teachings of Lord Kapila, in which the sages of our Naimisharanya inquiring from Sutta Goswami. Please speak about more activities of Lord Kapila. And then he is referring the conversation that took place between Maitreya and Vidura, wherein Vidura also asked, so please speak about the activities of Lord Kapila. So then Maitreya explaining that after his father's departure to the forest, Lord Kapila was taking care of his mother. So one day, seeing Lord Kapila was seated very comfortably, Mother Devahuti approached him and submitted her plea, which she also submitted to her husband while he was going to forest. So she said basically, Nirvinna Nitaram Bhuman Asad Indriya Trishnatas. Till now, I had intense desire to experience and sense gratification. Asat Indriya Trishna. There was the Indriya Trishna. So as a result of that, Ena Sambhavyamanena Prapannandam Tama Prabhu. So I have been fell into Andhatamas, the deep dark well of this material existence. And somehow or other, for the people like me who are in this deep dark well, you appeared like a sun, giving us the light to come out. या आद्यो भगवान पुंसाम ईश्वरो वै भगवान किला लोकस्य तमसांधस्य चक्षुसूर्य इवोदितः. You appearing as a sun, enabling our eyes to see how to come out of this condition of deep darkness. Atame deva sammoham apakristam tvamarahasi yo avagraho aham mameti etasmin yojitasvaya. I have been completely overwhelmed by the concept of me and mine, which is caused by Maya, which is your energy. It is by your energy, people like me are conditioned by the concept of me and mine, aham mameti. And since it is your energy which is causing us this illusion and bondage, it is your responsibility to give us the knowledge and deliver us from this material existence. You please deliver us. Like that, she's asking. Then she said, he's assuming, anticipating that Lord Kapila might say that, oh, I am your son. How can you ask like that? Then she says that, Santa Gataham Sharanam Sharanyam Sabutya Samsara Taro Kutaram. Jignasayam Prakrite Purushasya Mamaham Saddharma Vidham Varishtam. Saddharma Vidham Varishtam. Among the people who knows about Saddharma, you are Varishta. And not only that, you are Sabutya Samsara Taro Kutaram. Samsara Taru, the tree of Samsara, the tree of middle existence, is supposed to be cut from the very base with the help of an axe. And you are that axe. Taro Kutaram. You are Kutara. You are the axe which can help us to cut our Samsara tree. Why? Sharanam Sharanyam. Because you are Sharanya, you are worthy to take shelter and we have taken your shelter. So it is your responsibility to deliver us by enlightening about what is Jiva, what is Prakriti, how Prakriti binds Jiva, and how Jiva can become freed from the shackles of Prakriti. So these were the humble inquiries of Mother Devahuti. And hearing these humble inquiries, Lord Kapila smiles very mildly. So because, of course, Devahuti herself is already liberated, but she herself putting in a low shoes like that of a conditioned soul. And on behalf of all of us, she is making inquiry to Lord Kapila. So that by following what Lord Kapila speaks, all of us can attain perfection instantly. So hearing all these things, Lord Kapila smiles very slightly. So because Lord Kapila is thinking that, hey, you are my mother, how can you be in Maya? Anyway, I will teach something to deliver the common people. through teaching you. Samuvacha Rishikesha Prahasan Yovartha. Just like Lord Krishna also Prahasan slightly smiles. Babasha Isha Smita Shobhitananam. Smita Shobha. Little. Smita means slight smile. Then Lord Kapila offered the answer. Yoga Adhyatmika Pumsha Mato Nishraya Sayame Atyantoparatir Yatra Dukascha Sukascha. He said that the one and only solution for all the inquiries that you are making is Adhyatmika Yoga. The yoga concerning the Atma. For giving one personal benefit. Pumsham Nishrayasaya. For obtaining the ultimate benefit for oneself, one need to follow Adhyatmika Yoga. And by that Adhyatmika Yoga, there is complete uprooting of material happiness and material distress. Dukascha Atyanta Uparatir. One becomes indifferent to the dualities of this material system. It is possible when we hear, understand, and Adhyatmika Yoga. So then what do you mean by Adhyatmika Yoga? Yoga concerning the Jivatma, that is Adhyatmika Yoga, is approved as the most beneficial method for oneself. It has three types. Adhyatmika Yoga includes Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. For Bhakti, benefit for oneself is a secondary effect. Being situated in this yoga, one uproots material happiness and distress. Of course, by Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, one gets intense personal benefits. But by Bhakti, one is not about personal benefits, but one is about serving the Lord. In that way. I approve this path of Adhyatmika Yoga, yoga concerning Atma, for it uproots material happiness and miseries. This includes Bhakti, Jnana, and Ashtanga Yoga. So Lord Kapila is recommending that one should hear, understand, and follow Adhyatmika Yoga. So similarly, Lord Krishna also says something in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text number 32, wherein he says that Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. Among types of knowledge, I am knowledge of the soul. Among all the variety of knowledge items, there are so many subject matters of knowledge, gaining knowledge. Among all of them, Adhyatma Vidya is represented by Lord Krishna. Adhyatma Vidya means the knowledge about the Jivatma and Paramatma. So what are the different types of knowledges that we have? Vishnu Purana says about them. The four Vedas, 6 Vedangas, 4 plus 6, 10, Mimamsa, Nyaya, Dharmashastra, and Purana. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10 plus 4, 14. Are considered the 14 types of knowledge. So among these 14 types of knowledge, I am the knowledge concerning Atma. Of these 14 texts, whichever text elaborately talks about the knowledge concerning Atma, Atmajnan, or Adhyatmika Vidya, that is represented by Lord Krishna. That is the best of all the knowledges. The knowledge of concerning Atma, where did we get that? Primarily in Vedanta Sutra. The knowledge of Vedanta with 4 chapters which defines Paramatma, his associates, that means all the Jivatmas, and the process to attain him. Jivatma, Paramatma, and process to attain him. Basically, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana things are mentioned. In Sambandha, who is Paramatma, who is Jivatma, what is Sambandha between them, how to reinstate that Sambandha, and yes, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. What one will do after reinstating one Sambandha with the Supreme Lord. These 3 things are clearly mentioned in the Vedanta. So among all the Vedic literatures, Vedanta is represented by Supreme Lord. Adhyatma Vidya Vidyayam. So this is where we stopped last time, and we'll continue from verse 14 onwards. Tamimam te pravakshami.
Tam imam te pravakshami.
Himavocham puranake.
Yam avocham pura nage.
ऋषीणां श्रोतुकामानां
Rishinam shrotu kamanam.
योगं सर्वाङ्गनैपुणम्.
Yogam sarvanga naipunam. O most pious mother, I shall now explain unto you the ancient yoga system, which I explained formerly to the great sages. It is serviceable and practical in every way.
We saw this verse also last time, but in any case, Lord Kapila says that now I will explain these three processes. I will explain you elaborately the Adhyatmika Yoga consisting of Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Everything I'll explain in detail. Previously, I have explained the same thing to great sages like Narada and all. There is one verse comes in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, Panchama Kapilo Nama Siddhesha Kala Vipratam Provachasuriya Sankhyaayam Sattvagrama Vinamitnayam. So Lord Kapila spoke this knowledge of Adhyatmika Yoga to Asuri Brahmana, which define the various principles of existence which had which had become lost with time. Kalena, Gata. In due course of time, by the effect of time, things seems to be lost. So Lord Kapila again speaking, so that things become fresh, new. So in that way. So that is where it stopped. And now, what is this knowledge is all about? Adhyatmika Yoga, the knowledge concerning Atma. So what do you mean by that? What is the use of that? How to get that? Where to get that? Etc. Such kind of questions will come. All these questions are briefly answered by Lord Kapila from text number 15 to text number 25. चेतः कल्वस्य बन्धाय
चेतः कल्वशस्य बन्धाय
मुक्तये चात्मनो मतम्
मुक्ताय मनोमतं
गुणेषु सक्तं बन्धाय
गुणेषु सक्तं बन्धाय
कृतं वा पुंसि मुक्तये.
रतं वा पुंसि मुक्तये. Translation: the stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by the three modes of material nature is called conditional life. But when that same consciousness is attached to Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation.
The mind is certainly the cause of bondage and liberation for a living entity in this world. It is the mind which is causing us bondage. It is the mind which causes liberation. Chetahi kalvasya bandaya muktaye chatmano matam. For Atma, it is Cheta. Here Cheta is until the mind. The cause of bondage as well cause of liberation. How when it causes bondage? Attachment to gunas causes bondage. Guneshu saktam bandaya. Attachment to gunas means the objects produced by the three modes of material nature. That means any material object. Attachment to any material object leads to bondage. But attraction for the Supreme Lord causes liberation. Pratamba Pumshi. That means Rati. If we have any Rati for the Supreme Lord, we will be liberated. In this Adhyatmika Yoga, mind is the pivot. The mind of the Jivas binds him up by bad association and liberates him by good association. That is explained here. Mind attached to the gunas or matter causes bondage, and mind attached to the gunatita, the Supreme Lord, causes liberation. So attachment to matter is called bad association. Attachment to Supreme Lord is called good association. Attachment to the gunas which create bondage produces bondage for the jiva. Similarly, attachment or rati to the Supreme Lord, who is without material gunas, the destroyer of the bondage of the gunas, produces liberation. The cause of rati for the Supreme Lord is bhakti alone, not jnana or yoga. By the practice of jnana or yoga, one may not get so much rati for the Supreme Lord, but the rati for Supreme Lord easily will come when one practices bhakti. Pure bhakti alone is recommended for liberation. So, in order to become liberated oneself from this mental existence, the recommendation is The practice of pure bhakti. It is pure bhakti alone can allow us to attain liberation. Otherwise, one is bound in this material world. There is one verse comes in the first canto, second chapter. Dharma swanushtita pumsha vishwaksena katasuya na utpadaya yadiratim shramayevai kevalam. So whatever dharma that we follow in this world, while living in this world, dharma, swa anushtita, according to our psychophysical nature, according to our inclination, whatever dharmic activity that we perform, or in general, whatever activity that we perform, Vishwaksena Katasuya, na utpadayat yadiratim Vishwaksena. If all those activities does not produce rati or attraction or affect attachment to Lord Vishwaksena, all our activities are simply Shramai Evai Kevalam. Simply Shrama, hard labor. There is no tangible benefit of those endeavors. Any endeavor that we perform in this world, if it is not producing a rati for the Supreme Lord, all such endeavors are simply wasted endeavor. Therefore, only by bhakti, because bhakti activities are all direct to Supreme Lord, they will obviously they will produce attachment to Supreme Lord. So that is how it is understood. This contrary position, so this is a verse from first sixth canto, first chapter, where there is a discussion between Yamadutas and Vishnudutas. So Yamadutas are saying that so there is something called dharma, Veda pranihito dharma, adharmastad vipareya. What is being said in the Vedas is called dharma. What is not told in the Vedas is called adharma. Or doing as per Vedas is called dharma, and doing against what is said in the Vedas is called adharma. So when people perform adharma, they will go to Naraka. They will be taken to Yamaraj so that they will get punishment for that. But if people practice dharma as an offering to Supreme Lord, eventually the jiva will be liberated. But as long as one continues to perform this sinful activities, one is bound in this material world. So being bound in the material world is called the contrary position of the jiva. But if jiva is supposed to be in the spiritual world, jiva belongs to spiritual world. Jiva does not belong to material world. So being staying in the material world is like a contrary nature. It is not normal for the soul. Esha prakriti sangena purushasya viparyeya asisa eva nachirad isha sangad viliyate. The contrary position of the jivas has existed by association with prakriti. That means as long as we have attachment to prakriti or products, the contrary nature of soul continues to manifest. The natural nature of the soul is, the natural state of soul is to stay in the spiritual world and to be in the service of Supreme Lord. And to stay in the material world and not to serve the Supreme Lord is contrary nature for the soul. And when that is happening, Prakriti Sangena. When we are completely associated with Prakriti, we will be in a opposite situation. Therefore, that condition is quickly destroyed by association with the Lord. Eva na chirad viliyate isha sangad. By isha sangad, viliyate, it will be destroyed when na chirad, not after a long time, but very quickly. So like that. So that means by executing bhakti, one's contrary condition will be destroyed very quickly. So it is only bhakti will help us to attain perfection. So this is one more verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. Bandhur atmatmanastasya enatmaivatmana jitaha. Atmanastu shatrutve anatmanastu shatrutve vartet atmaiva shatruvat. The mind is a friend for the friend of the soul, which has conquered the mind. The mind is an enemy of that soul, which has not controlled the mind. In that way. And there is one more verse also comes in the 4th canto, 22nd chapter, where the four Kumaras are speaking to Prutu Maharaj. They say, Kruchro Mahaniha Bhavarnavamaplavesham Shadvarga Nakramasukena Tirshtanti. Tatvam Harer Bhagavato Bhajani Mangarim Krut Vodupam Vyasanamuttara Dustarana. Where they say that there is great suffering for people lacking a boat to cross the ocean of samsara, filled with the crocodiles of the six senses, since they desire to cross but they cannot cross using a difficult process. So basically says that for those who do not take shelter of bhakti, they have to go through lot of troubles in this ocean of mental existence. Because this ocean is filled with so many crocodiles, especially six crocodiles are there. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Masara. Six crocodiles are there. And those who want to cross the ocean by swimming, and there is a danger at every step. Any crocodile may come and swallow this person, bite this person, eat this person. So that is very difficult. So how one can avoid these crocodiles attack? By being seated in the boat. The boat is bhakti. But for those people who don't have boat, they have to go through a lot of troubles to cross the ocean. Therefore, cross the ocean of samsara, which is difficult to cross, by making a boat out of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Bhagavato Angrim Udupam Krutva. And then, who is the worthy of worship? That means, accept the boat of lotus feet of Supreme Lord and worship. That will take one across the ocean of mental existence, which is infested with six crocodiles, especially. So like that. So basically, it is the mind which is the cause of one's bondage. It is the mind which is the cause of liberation. When the mind becomes cause of bondage, when the mind is attracted to material objects. And similarly, when the mind is attracted to Supreme Lord or Bhakti or Bhagavad devotees, that mind will take us on the path back home back to Godhead. Like that. Aham mama bhimanottai
अहम ममाभि अनुते
कामलोभादि birmalai
कामलोभादिविर्मलै
vita yada manashuddham
वीतं यदा मनःशुद्धम्
adukkam asukam samam
अदुःखम् असुखं समम्
tada purusha atmanam
तदा पुरुष आत्मनं
kevalam prakrite param
केवलं प्रकृते परम्
nirantaram swayam jyotir
निरन्तरं स्वयं ज्योतिर्
animanam akanditam
अनिमानम् अखण्डितम्
jnana vairagya yuktena
ज्ञानान वैराग्ययुक्तेन
bhakti yuktena chatmana
भक्तियुक्तेन चात्मना
paripashyati udasinam
परिपश्यति उदासीनं
prakritim cha taujasam.
प्रकृतिं च हतौजसम्.
Translation.
Translation. When one is completely clean of the impurities of lust and greed produced from the false identification of the body as I and bodily passions as mine, one's mind becomes purified. In that pure state, he transcends the stage of so-called material happiness and distress. At that time, the soul can himself to be transcendental to material existence and always self-effulgent, never fragmented, although very minute in size. In that position of self-realization by practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him.
So, This verse, these three verses talks about the various rules and regulations that need to be followed in order to practice Adhyatmika yoga, consisting of Bhakti yoga, Jnana yoga, and Ashtanga yoga. So, what are the rules and regulations that we need to follow in order to execute Adhyatmika yoga? When the mind is free of contamination of lust and greed, arising from the false identity of I and mine, that means the mind gets contaminated by the concept of Aham Mameti, I and mine. And that I and mine produces Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsara. And when the mind becomes free from these anarthas and becomes pure and becomes without grief, without joy, and becomes completely peaceful, then the jiva sees himself different from ignorance. That means jiva sees himself full of knowledge, pure, full of knowledge, Swayam Jyoti, and devoid of covering. That means the jiva sees himself different from ignorance. Means tada purusha atmanam prakrite param, sees himself different from prakriti, not a product of the body. Jiva sees oneself as I am not the body, I am actually the soul, different from the body. And that soul is pure, and that soul is full of knowledge, and that soul is devoid of material coverings, and that soul is fully, completely subtle, and it is undivided. You have heard all these things in the Bhagavad Gita also, and it is unattached, udasinam, as well as sees ignorance divide up power to affect him. Paripashyati prakritim cha ata hojasam. And that jiva, self-realized jiva, sees the prakriti standing next to him, but does not touch him, does not have any capacity to control him by a mind endowed with jnana and vairagya. How this is possible, all these things? So when the mind is completely practicing jnana yoga, vairagya means ashtanga yoga, and principally with bhakti. That means jnana vairagya yuktena bhakti yuktena chatmana. So especially when we practice bhakti yoga or jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga, all these things will slowly take place. Then one realizes who one is, oneself different from the material body, different from the material nature, and completely pure, full of knowledge, undivided, subtle, and unattached, and sees that now Maya is no more has the capacity to touch him. All these things will be possible only when by practicing Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, when the mind becomes free of anarthas and free of the dualities, Icha, Dvesha, Samuttena, Dvandva, Mohena, Bharata. This is possible. Symptoms of the liberated mind: free from lust and greed, free from grief, peaceful, and without any covering. These are the different symptoms of the purified mind, which will help us attain liberation. How does the mind reach this state? Primarily by bhakti, but also by practicing jnana yoga and ashtanga yoga. By practicing bhakti, jnana, and ashtanga, what happens? The mind becomes free of the contaminations of. But the mind becomes free of the contaminations by sama and dhamma. Sama is sense control, dhamma is mind control. These are a process of jnana process, jnana. And by practicing yama and niyama, which is the process of yoga, ashtanga yoga. And yama means regulations, niyama means rules. That means don'ts and do's, do's and don'ts. We say na, following the four regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna mantra, eating Mahaprasad, getting up early in the morning, etc. are niyama. These are the angas of jnana and ashtanga yoga. What is the effect of purification? Being without sorrow, without happiness, and completely peaceful. So at that time, the jiva sees himself separate from ignorance or separate from the grass body, subtle body. He is devoid of the obstacles of grass and subtle bodies. He has uncovered knowledge, subtle and undivided material desires. By the mind endowed with jnana yoga and ashtanga yoga, and by bhakti yoga, which to which jnana and vairagya are mere assistants, and without which they cannot bear no results, the jiva sees himself unattached. It is only when one practices systematically the jnana yoga, ashtanga bhakti yoga, one realizes that one is Atma and one is superior to the material existence. So all these things will be possible by the sincere practice of Adhyatmika Yoga. So one sees one's own ignorance, which is unable to do anything to one. That means at this point of time, the material nature has no control over this person. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakriti mashrita. Bhajanti anannamaso jnatva bhutadim aviyam. This is one verse. Dusra is Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya duratya mamyave prapadyante mayamyatam taradite. So the guna maya is very difficult to cross because the Lord's maya. But one who takes shelter of the Lord, we can very easily cross over this maya. After crossing this maya, what one will do? We will come to the shelter of Devi maya. Mama maya duratya. That yoga maya. So and with yoga maya, one will realize the Supreme Lord completely. So like that. Jnana and yoga only assist bhakti in giving one liberation. Primarily, one attains liberation by bhakti. Other processes will also assist bhakti to some extent. So like that. So how the mind plays the pivotal role and under what condition the mind. So what do you mean by Pratam va Pumshi Muktaye? When the mind is attached to Supreme Lord, it becomes liberated means doing all these things. It will not happen just like that. We need to follow all this procedure systematically. So basically, in these three verses, Lord Kapila is talking about from the point of view of Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga primarily, what kind of rules and regulations one should follow. And then later on, Lord Kapila will speak about from the point of view of Bhakti. Of course, these verses talks about all the three, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, but mainly about Jnana and Ashtanga. But in the future verses, we'll talk about Bhakti. How in Bhakti one can be freed from all these anarthas and attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. So some references from the previous later part of the Bhagavatam. When fixed attachment to the Lord appears, a person with devotion to Guru, Acharyavan Puman, burns up the powerless subtle body made up of Ahankara with its 5 kleshas, which cover the jiva by means of the power of knowledge and detachment arising from that attachment to the Supreme Lord. Just as fire arising from wood burns wood. So the understanding is the wood is compared to our body, gross body and subtle body. The fire is compared to the soul instance. So when the wood is burned, given some fire, the fire comes out of the wood and the fire burns the wood and eventually the wood goes to ashes. That means basically it is the wood which is giving us fire and that fire is burning that wood only. Same way, it is with the help of our gross body and subtle body we can practice bhakti, and our practice of bhakti will destroy our gross body and subtle body, and with pure soul one will come back to Godhead. So in that condition, the analogy is mentioned. When the subtle body has been destroyed, along with all its effects, one no longer sees external sense objects, internal disturbances, or the obstacles to seeing Paramatma that previously existed. So previously obstacles were there, but when one completely practices the Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or Bhakti Yoga, when the gross body, subtle body is completely destroyed, one does not see any obstacles. Just as on waking up, a person no longer sees objects experienced in dream. So in the dream, we might be seeing a tiger chasing after us, a snake chasing after us. But when you get up, you don't see any tiger, you don't see any snake. Similarly, as of now, in this conditioned state, we may be encountered by so many problems. But when one is liberated, when one goes back to spiritual world, there is no problems one will have, which one is going through currently. So exactly. When the subtle body covers the jiva, one sees the jiva as an enjoyer, the objects of enjoyment and the results of these. So basically, when we are completely covered by the gross body and subtle body, our whole life is only focuses on what are the objects. I am the enjoyer. I see myself as enjoyer, I see everything in front of me as an object of enjoyment, and then I enjoy and experience the results. Immediately I may experience some joy, but eventually I'll experience some misery also. But when the subtle body is absent, one only sees Paramatma. One does not see any sense objects. As long as we are covered by the gross body, subtle body, we start seeing the sense objects. But when our subtle body, gross body are burnt to ashes, we only see Paramatma. So the practices are meant to bring us to this point, burning of our gross body, subtle body, so that we'll be able to see Paramatma alone, nothing else in this world. Like that. So in this way, these points can also be seen from the later part of the Bhagavatam also. Everywhere they becoming repeated. So having stated that, of course, these are all the rules and regulations required for all the three processes. But among these three, Bhakti is easiest process. Bhakti is that I recommend, my dear mother, one to practice. Everyone to practice like that. Lord Kapila will tell in the next verse. Nayujyamanaya bhaktaya
नयुज्यमानाय भक्ताय
bhagavati akilatmani
भगवते अखिलात्मनि
sadrushosti shiva panta
सदृशोऽस्ति शिवः स्पन्ता
yoginam brahma siddhaye.
योगिनां ब्रह्मसिद्धये. Perfection in self-realization cannot be attained by any kind of yogi unless he engages in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For that is the only auspicious path.
So among the three paths, what is the recommended path by Lord Kapila? Bhakti. There is no auspicious path for attaining perfection of relationship with the Lord. That is Sakya, Dasya, etc. For the practitioners, except a type of bhakti which is most suitable for realizing the Supreme Lord, the soul of all beings. Yoginam Brahma Siddhaye Bhagavati Yujyamanaya Bhaktya. It is only by bhakti, Bhagavad Bhakti, one can realize the Lord with the Paramatma, with the super soul of every living entity. And this is the best of all processes. Sadrushoshi Shiva Panta. There is no another auspicious path, something like bhakti. So, like superlative degree is giving to bhakti. Among the three processes, bhakti is the best, being full of joy and most auspicious in results. Bhakti alone is suitable for realizing the Supreme Lord. For later, it is said, later part of the same Bhagavatam, it is said that Kachitvaya Uchita Bhakti Kidrishi Mamagochara Yaya Padam Te Nirvanam Anjasa Vasanaya Anjasan Vasan Sanvasnavaham. What kind of devotional service is worth developing and practicing to help me easily and immediately attain the service of your lotus feet? So later on, Mother Devati will ask, hearing this verse, that among the three things, it is bhakti the most auspicious path, and there is nothing equal to that bhakti in realizing the Lord very easily and quickly. But here it is said that except a type of bhakti, a kind of bhakti. Then Mother Devati asks, what kind of bhakti I need to practice to attain you very easily and immediately, not after a long time? This is the auspicious path for attaining perfection in Dasya, Sakya, and other relationships, other rasas, in relation to the Supreme Lord, for those who have accepted a process. As mentioned in text number 15, mind attached to Lord leads to liberation. So mind being attached to Supreme Lord is called as bhakti. So when one practices bhakti, and among all the process, bhakti is the most auspicious path. So mind being attached to Supreme Lord is called bhakti, and that is the most auspicious path. One easily attains perfection. The same thing is also mentioned in one of the future chapters also. Nahi atonya shivapanta vishata samsruta viha vasudeve bhagavate bhakti yogo ato bhavet. I think this is the verse spoken by Sukadeva Goswami in the second canto, second chapter. After explaining Krama Mukti and Sadhya Mukti and other things, at the end, Lord Sukadeva Goswami says that it's okay, all these things are there, but especially for a person like you, I recommend Bhakti. There is no other auspicious path for those suffering in the material world than that path which produces prema for Bhagavan Vasudeva. What is the specialty of Bhakti? Why Bhakti is recommended? Because Bhakti produces Krishna prema very easily and very quickly, unlike Jnana and Yoga process. Because Bhakti produces Bhakti Yoga or prema, there is no other auspicious path, a path without obstacles. Just as the two paths just described produce liberation, Bhakti produces prema. Just as Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga produces Sahyamukti, similarly Bhakti produces Krishna prema. Because this path produces the most excellent result, prema, even that path that leading to attainment of prema is far superior to liberation attained by the two paths. Even though there is Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, which will give one Sahyamukti, liberation, and there is a path Bhakti Yoga which gives Krishna prema. So the comparison is the sadhana bhakti is superior to liberation also. As in a Nodi, Bhakti Sindhu, the 6 qualities or 6 characteristics of bhakti. What were the Kleshagni Shubhada and
Moksha Lagdakru,
Moksha Lagutagrat, Sudurlabha, Sandrananda. Sorry, Sandrananda Vishatma, Sri Krishna Akrashni.
Krishna Krishna.
So here Kleshagni Shubhada will come during the state of sadhana bhakti. At the stage of bhava bhakti, one will get Moksha Lagutakrut and Sandrananda Sudurlabha. That means even at the stage of bhava only one considers moksha to be lagu, inferior. That means even the prasa bhakti itself is superior to moksha. Then what to speak of the result of that bhakti, prema? That is much more than moksha. Bhakti yoga is not aimed at liberation, since its goal is prema. Those who are practicing bhakti yoga, they don't ask for, my dear Lord, please give me Sahyaj Mukti, please give me liberation. They will never ask. They will only ask one thing: please give me the opportunity to serve your lotus feet. So in this way, so in these 4 verses, the different rules and regulations for practicing Adhyatmika yoga are indicated. But among these 3, my dear mother, according to me, Bhakti is the most auspicious path, because which awards one Krishna prema very easily and very quickly. And the same thing is told by Sukadeva Goswami in the 2nd canto and Yamaraj in the 6th canto. In the 6th canto, 3rd chapter, Yamaraj also says same thing. Among all the processes, Bhakti is the most auspicious path. So in various places throughout the Bhagavatam, the same thing is mentioned again. It means that is true. Exactly making up the words. So in that way. Hare Krishna, everyone is able to follow. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can you explain once again that 6 characters of the devotional service with this context?
So see this point. Because this path means Bhakti Yoga produces the most excellent result, that is prema. Even the path leading to attainment of prema is far superior to the liberation attained by the other 2 paths. So by the practice of Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, one attains liberation. So that there is a process, there is a result. But in the case of Bhakti Yoga, it is said that the process itself is superior to the result of other 2 processes. Then what to speak of the result? If you put them in chronological order, it is like this: Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, liberation, Bhakti Yoga, and Prema. So to tell that, I just refer to our Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. In that it says that During the stages of practicing sadhana bhakti, one will manifest kleshagni and subhada. But by the time when one comes to Bhava Bhakti platform, one comes to the stage of moksha lagutagrut, where Bhava Bhakta considers moksha to be inferior than what he is doing. That means a person who comes to Bhava platform will never ever ask for liberation. Because for them, the liberation is long back only. They don't even look at liberation. That's why they say that moksha lagutakrut. Why? Because they have already attained Bhava platform, which is very rare to attain, Sudurlabha. Coming to the platform of Bhava is actually very difficult. Sudurlabha is very rare. And if they go one step ahead when they come to Prema platform, they will manifest two more wonderful qualities. One is Sandrananda Visheshatma, the condensed bliss, the supreme form of condensed bliss, which is 1,000 times better than Brahmananda, they'll get it. As well, whatever prema they attained, that prema controls Krishna also. Sri Krishna Akarashanichasa. It controls Lord Krishna completely. Like Vrajavasi's love for Lord Krishna controlled Lord Krishna completely. So that's how we have to see. That means even the practice of Bhava Bhakti is superior to moksha. Then what to speak of Prema Bhakti? In that way it is glorified. And that Prema Bhakti is attained by the practice of Sadhana Bhakti. So in that way, there is no more auspicious path than Sadhana Bhakti. Like that it is, you have to understand.
Thank you.
Other devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. Here it is written that that Bhakti Yoga is highest than other two yoga paths. But in outside world, na Prabhuji, the people generally says that those who are less intelligent and they are poor people, emotional peoples, they feel Bhakti Yoga, and others those who are talent, they don't follow Bhakti Yoga, they follow other yoga. So how to counteract that?
See, from one point of view, they are also not wrong. Other point of view, they were told like that, so they are repeating. See, I will tell you how to understand it. Not finding fault with anybody. Most part of Shastra, Vedas especially, they glorify the practice of karma jnana yoga. Bhakti is not talked about so much in the Vedas. So since majority of people who follow the instructions of the Vedas, and they say that, yeah, practicing karma yoga, practicing jnana yoga, and practicing ashtanga yoga, wherein you have to put some endeavor. You are the doer in all this process. So you can show that I am the doer, I am doing it, and I got it. So there is that concept of I am the doer is there. But in the case of bhakti, more than I am the doer, it is mostly depends on Lord's mercy. It mostly depends on Vaishnava's mercy. The devotees will never say that I am the doer. But others, all three others will say we are the doer. So that because of that, just to make sure that I am the doer, being inspired by that concept of I am the doer, one will always say that bhakti kuch nahi. You do something and you got to get it. So in that way, they talk about it more. This is one way to understand it. And other way, even history also says that many times, many people took bhakti very cheaply. They have not given the due respect to bhakti. So in that way, in the eyes of the people, the position of bhakti became low. Even during our Acharya's time, like Bhaktivinoda Tagore, etc., there are so many apasampradayas who are simply practicing whatever they want in the name of bhakti. So in the eyes of the common people, the path of bhakti became like a cheap and ordinary process. So This also happens because of some deviant practitioners and claiming themselves to be bhaktas. So these are the two reasons we can understand.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, we will move on. So having stated among the three processes, bhakti is the most auspicious path. And for that bhakti, how to get that bhakti? Some details are mentioned in the next verses. Prasangam majaram pasham. Repeat.
Prasangam Param Pasam. Prasangam Ajaram Pasam.
Atmana kavayo viduhu.
Atmanaha Kavayo Viduhu.
Saeva sadhu.
Sayeva Sadhusu Kroto. Mokshadvaram Apavritam. Mokshadvaram Apavritam. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, open the door of liberation.
The wise know that bad association is strong bondage for the soul. Prasangam ajaram pasham. Association with the devotees, however, opens the door to liberation in the form of the same abode, etc. Salokya, etc. So now, so if bhakti is the most auspicious path, how to get bhakti? One can get bhakti only by the association of some devotees of the Supreme Lord. Only by devotee association one can attain bhakti, not otherwise. How to get bhakti? By association of devotees. The door to liberation in the form of same abode, etc. is open. When we associate the devotees, Salokya, Sarishti, Samupya, and Sarupya will open. The doors to Vaikuntha will open. However, such liberation is only an unsought result for the pure devotee. Pure devotee does not only just want going to Vaikuntha, but more than that, pure devotee wants the opportunity to serve the Lord for the rest of life. That is more important than just going to Vaikuntha. Sangoya samshuterhetu asastu vihito diya saeva sadhushu kruto nisangatvaya kalpate. This was the verse spoken by Mother Devahuti in the last chapter. Knowingly or unknowingly, if one associates sadhu, one should get the benefit. Association with is done in ignorance is the cause of bondage, and association with devotees, even done in ignorance, leads to depression. Knowingly or unknowingly, if one associates with sadhu, it should bring one to the path of liberation. It should happen. So, my dear husband, I was with you for so much time. So, nothing happened to me. Why? It should happen. It is general rule. Like that she said. So, that is what one should expect. Sadhu Sangha, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarvasiddhi. So, Sadhusanga, Sarvashastra koi, Lavamata Sadhusanga, Sarvasiddhi koi. Like Sadhusanga, Sadhu, who is the personified form of the essence of all scriptures, even we have small association of that Sadhu that will take us back home back to Godhead. At least that will put us on the path back home back to Godhead. That is the greatness of the Sadhu. Only by the association of Sadhu, the moksha dwaras will open. The rasta खुला हो जाएगा. So it is our little more endeavor required to go all the way up to Vaikuntha. So then, if sadhu's association is cause of bhakti, if sadhu's association is the cause of path back home back to Godhead or going back to Godhead, so how do I know who is sadhu? To identify a sadhu. And sadhu has two set of qualities. One is secondary quality, second is primary qualities. And this verse talks about the secondary qualities, and next two verses talks about the primary qualities. So let us see. तितिक्षवा कारुणिकः
Titikshava karunikah.
one devotee at one time, no one, other time two three devotees sing. तितिक्षवा कारुणिकाः
तितिक्षवा कारुणिकाः
सुहृदा सर्वदेहिनाम्
हृदः सर्वदेहिनाम्
अजातशत्रवशान्ता
अजातशत्रवा शान्ताः
साधवा साधुभूषणा
साधवः साधुभूषणाः. Translation: The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. He is peaceful. He abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. Hare Krishna.
So the qualities of such a sadhu are, such devotees are tolerant, merciful, friendly to all beings, without enemies, gentle, straightforward, and respectable to other devotees. Or they think of the devotees dearly like ornaments. They consider all the devotees as ornaments. How to identify such a sadhu? The secondary characteristics of a sadhu are Tikshava, Karunika, Suhrada, Ajatashatrava, Shanta, and Sadhava. 4 verses describe the characteristics of the devotee. The secondary qualities are described starting with tolerance. They are not fierce, they are perfectly peaceful. They are straightforward in their dealings, Sadhava. They respect other devotees, Sadhubhushana. Or they think of the devotees clearly like ornaments. Just like we like so much our ornaments, similarly these sadhus like other devotees so nicely. So these are the some of the secondary characteristics of a sadhu, whose association is sought after. Then what are the primary characteristics? 22, 23, 24 will talk about the primary characteristics of a sadhu. Mai ananyena bhavena
मय्यनेन भावेन
bhaktim kurvanti edudam
भक्तिं कुर्वन्ति ये दृढम्
matkrute takta karmanas
मत्कृते त्यक्तकर्माणस्
त्यक्ता swajana bandhavaha.
त्यक्ता स्वजनबान्धवाः. Such a sadhu engages in a staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connection, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world.
Hmm.
Prabhuji,
It's the
Prabhuji, before going, I raised my hand for one before this shloka.
Hmm.
Prabhuji, can you explain the meaning of tolerant, merciful, and friendly? Like tolerant to what, and merciful to what, Prabhuji?
I mean, here there is no discussion elaborately, but you can read the purport also, or you can read Gita chapters also. In Gita, all these qualities are also mentioned. But here,
Uh-huh.
at least for the time being, Titikshava. So they are supposed to be tolerant means they are supposed to be tolerant to the dualities of the material existence. Like Lord
Okay.
Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tata deyantara praptir dhira sattana muyati. So we go through the transformations with respect to the body, also we die one day. So what? Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama apayino nityatam titikshasva bharata. There the word titiksha comes. Tiksha means
Yeah.
one should tolerate the coming and going of the seasons. That is example, but in reality, one should tolerate the transformations in the body, like birth and death. So by such
Oh,
tolerance, one can become dhira. So basically, tolerance is in relation to dualities: good, bad, birth, death, happiness, misery, etc.
and
And
Prabhuji,
merciful means it is like daya sarva bhuteshu. One should be compassionate to everyone. So that compassion will be at various levels. The basic level, one should provide food, clothing, and shelter to others, whatever extent possible. And from Krishna consciousness point of view, one should give them Krishna consciousness. That will give them permanent solution from this material existence. So Karmika means showing compassion, means connecting one to Krishna. That Prabhupada says.
And what does it practically means by friendly to all living entities?
Friendly to all living entities means not to exploit them for one's own sense gratification, instead serving them for their betterment.
Ruji, can you give one example like?
Example like it's like all the acharyas, like starting with Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anyone, they take sannyas. What was the reason they take sannyas?
For all the living entities to
Hmm.
come closer to Krishna.
Yeah, so that is like Suhruda Sarva Dehinam. Suhruda means the well-wisher of each and every living entity. What kind of well-wisher? The well-wisher means bringing each and every living entity close to Krishna. For that, one is giving up one's own comforts and going out of the way to bring one and all to Krishna, close to Krishna. So this is both the points. This is also called Karunika and this is also called Suhruda.
Prabhuji, and for enemies, whoever preaches, they have some enemies in this world. So how one can relate to no enemies?
So then he sees Ajata Shatarva. He does not see anyone as enemy.
He himself doesn't see anyone enemies, but people can, yeah.
Yeah, let them see. He will not mind. Here we are discussing about him only, not about others.
Yes.
Basically, whoever has these qualities, if we associate with them, we also develop these qualities. Unless until we associate with a person with these qualities, we also will never develop these qualities. Otherwise, we are always intolerant to the dualities. And instead of being merciful upon others, we simply exploit others. Instead of being friendly to others, we simply chastise, criticize others. And instead of making friends with others, we keep making enemies with everyone. So in our dealings, we are no more gentle. We are always harsh, and we are not straightforward. We are simply cunning, and we don't respect other devotees. Instead, we keep criticizing, we keep chastising, we keep bashing, such kind of things.
Uh, but in Prabhuji, in practical sense, see, when one is in administration, he can't have all these things. Even he associates with his guru or association with devotees of these qualities. But
That's why we are
still,
not sadhus. That's why we are
administration.
not sadhus as of now. We are not yet sadhus. Here the
Okay.
point is that we need to associate with a person who manifests these qualities. We need to find out such a devotee. Then only there is a hope in our spiritual progress.
Yes, spiritual progress will come because now we are in this material life. We are doing material life with spiritual life. So, Prabhuji, it is so difficult, when we are in material life, handling all the other things like our 8 to 10 hours go in handling the material objects outside. And now in spiritual life, so it is very difficult to balance, Prabhuji. And even though we associate, if we associate, we read, and we still these qualities are so rare to develop in us. I think so, like Prabhuji.
No, no. See, that is required. What you said is also required. But at least for now, we will develop automatically if we associate with a person who has these qualities. As per the context that we are discussing, if we
Uh-huh.
want to get bhakti, we need to find a person who has bhakti. As a result of that bhakti, he will manifest all these wonderful qualities.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Uh,
Okay.
what you said, I understood. Yeah, I also vouch for it. In our practical dealings, it is very difficult to being tolerant. It is very difficult to merciful. It is very difficult to friendly. It is not. It is really difficult because now the circumstances are like that. So many times, knowingly or unknowingly, we may become victim to all these things. I'm not denying that. But what is the way out? The way out is only somehow or other we need to find out such a pure devotee who can have all these qualities by their vicinity, by their mercy, and by their compassion. There is a hope that we may cultivate all these qualities, we may develop some part of these qualities slowly, slowly, so that we also get purified eventually. That's the only hope.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So now, if the secondary qualities itself are very difficult, then what to speak of the primary qualities? Just see these primary qualities. Just by reading itself, we can have heart attack. They perform steady bhakti unto me. Lord Kapila is telling unto me with exclusive devotion. Ananyena bhavena. That means they practice ananya bhakti. What do you mean by ananya bhakti? Giving up all actions to attain me. Giving up all other actions just to attain the Supreme Lord. That is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Matkrite Takta Karmanas. In order to attain me, they give up all other activities. And also giving up friends and relatives. Saktva Svajana Bandhava. Abhi, all of us can have a question. So what do you mean by giving up friends and relatives? Family को छोड़ देने का? सन्यासी बनने का? I don't know, but let us see what Lord Kapila is trying to tell. They perform study bhakti unto me. They perform ananya bhakti unto me with exclusive devotion, giving up all other actions and giving up on own friends and relatives for what purpose? Just to attain me. What was that verse in Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter with the word comes ananya? Ananyas chintayanto mam ejana pari upasate. Upasana means worship. Pari upasate means completely worship. That means 24/7. This person is only executing bhakti and nothing else. For what reason? Ananya Chetasa, without any other thought in one's mind. For what purpose? Tesham Nitya Abhiyuktanam. For the purpose of becoming an eternal associate of the Supreme Lord in his eternal abode, for the purpose of serving the Lord in person eternally. Tesham Nitya Abhiyuktanam. Those who have this desire, if at all one has that desire to go back home back to spiritual world and want to serve the Lord in person for the rest of eternity, what is the procedure? There should be no other thought other than serving the Lord, and then this not only thought, one should also demonstrate it. Pari upasate, complete engagement in devotional service only, nothing else, no other activities. That is called as Tekta Karmanas, Tekta Swajana Bandhava. That means one has no obligation for anything in this material world. One is already completely engaged in service, Lord service, with a desire to go to spiritual world so that one can continue to serve the Lord for the rest of eternity. Then Lord says that Yogakshema Bhamyam. I'll take the responsibility of bringing the devotee to Vaikuntha and giving the devotee personal service. Yoga means bringing the devotee to Vaikuntha. Kshema means giving the devotee that service which he wants to do unto me for the rest of eternity. Same thing here. And just think about it, how it is possible. How to identify this devotee? The primary characteristics of the devotee are Ananya and Dula Bhakti. They don't do anything else other than Bhakti, and that Bhakti also they do Dula Bhakti. And they even give up relatives and friends also. There is one verse, Lord Vishnu himself tells, when Durvasa Muni goes to Vaikuntha for protection, Lord Vishnu tells to Durvasa Muni, this verse, 9:4:45. So that 9,445, I don't remember right now. The sorry, 9,465. So the verse says that E Daragara Putrapta Pranam Vitatam Imam Param Hitva Mam Sharanam Yata Katam Stam Tektu Mustahe. So there, yeah, it is there. Anyway, next sentence, next it is there. Ananya indicates that no other objects of worship such as Brahma or Shiva is comparable. Ananya means they exclusively worship Lord Vishnu. No other objects, no other personalities such as Brahma or Shiva. They worship the mood such as Dasya or Sakya with firmness, with only the Lord as the object of worship in order to achieve the Supreme Lord. Matkrite. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya drudavrata. Namastantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Here also the word comes drudavrata, where they are firmly determined to go back to Godhead. And there is, for that reason, Satatam kirtayanto mam, they continuously engage in Lord's service. Kirtana, Namastantya, Mam Bhaktya, all these things they do. Nitya Yukta Upasa. They continuously engage in devotional service for what purpose? In order to become Nitya Yukta. In order to become an eternal associate of the Supreme Lord in his own abode for the rest of eternity. With that intention, they do Bhakti Satam. Satam Upaste. How? With Drudha Vrata, with a complete determination. They give up other actions and all other dharmas. Sarva Dharman Pratyajya Mamekam Sharanam Gaja. So this is the verse from the ninth canto. When Durvasa Muni goes to Vaikuntha for protection from the Sudarsha Chakra, Lord Vishnu says, E Daragara Putrapta Pranam Vittam Imam Pranam Hitva Mam Sharanam Yata Katam Tam Tektu Mustahe. Since pure devotees give up their homes, Agara, their wives Dara, children Putra, their relatives Apta, their riches Vittam, and even their lives Pranan, simply to serve me. They don't even worry about all this. They don't even become attached to all these things. They only dedicated to serve the Lord without any desire for material improvement in this life or in the next life. That means they have to aspire to go to Swarga. How can I give up such a devotees at any time? In order to attain me, they give up everything in this material world. So how can I give them up? Ye yata mam prapadyante tam staitu bhajameham. So then here says that, and you are trying to harm such a devotee. I don't have anything in my hand. You please go to him only. You ask him for your protection. Like that Lord Vishnu tells to Durvasana. So these are the primary characteristics of a sadhu whose association should be sought after. And the next verse further continues the qualities of the sadhu. Madashraya katamrushta
Madashraya kathamrishta
Shunvanti katayanti cha
Shrunvanti kathayanti cha
Tapante vividastapa
Tapanti vividhastapa
Naitan madgata chetasaha.
Naitan madgata chetasa. Translation: engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. Correct.
Taking shelter of me, Madashraya, they recite and listen, Shunvanti Katayanti cha, to pure stories, Katamrishta. They are not afflicted by material miseries, and thus fully absorb their minds in me, Madgata Chetsa. They are indifferent to material dualities, but continuously engage in hearing and discussing Krishna Katha. These are their activities. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Maranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. The Cha indicates that all other bhakti activities. Not only Shravanam Kirtanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanevedam. They only execute these 9 things, nothing else other than these things. That is called Ananya Bhakti. They only do these 9 things, nothing else. No other things of this material world. How to identify such a sadhu? The primary activities are complete absorption in hearing and chanting and other active bhakti activities. They listen to pure stories and not about Maya. The 3 material miseries do not afflict those devotees. Not afflicted by miseries, they are firmly fixed in me. And one should look for such a devotee. When we look for such a devotee, when we get such a devotee, when we serve such a devotee, when we take association with this devotee, there is a hope that such kind of qualities can manifest within us. Maybe some part, 1%, 2%, like that. So here is a verse spoken by our Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj, when he is offering praise to Lord Vishnu, he says that, my dear Lord, you might want to give me anything I ask, but I don't want anything else other than Lord's association. Oh unlimited Lord, may I always have the association of great devotees with pure hearts and constantly perform bhakti unto you. Bhakti muhu pravatam tvaime prasango bhuyadananta mahatam amalashayana. He says that tvaime prasango. Prasanga means full association. I don't want any blessings such as kingdom, etc. I only want the association of your wonderful devotees. So what kind of devotees? So that devotees whose hearts are completely pure, Amalashyanam, and who constantly execute bhakti unto you. Bhakti muhu pravatam tvaimi. Just like Ganga, so what the ocean continuously flows with high speed. Similarly, I want to have the association of such people whose hearts are continuously flowing towards you. Just like Kunti Maharani also offers in her last prayer, Gangogam, let my heart flow towards your lotus feet. Nowhere else. Neither to Pandavas nor to the Vrishnish. Kind of people's association I want. By this association, intoxicated from drinking the nectar of your pastimes and qualities, Bhavadguta Kanamruta Panamatta, I shall easily combat the ocean of mental existence, full of terrible suffering. Ena Anjasa ul Balanam Guru Vesanam Bhavabdim, Neshe Bhavadguna Katamruta Panamatta. He says that this Bhavasagara, Bhavabdhi, the ocean of mental existence is very difficult. Guru Vyasanam, it requires very difficult endeavor to cross. But by the association of such devotees, it becomes easy. Anjasa. Why it becomes easy? Because in their association, I get to hear about your wonderful glories. When I hear your wonderful glories, I become mad. Bhavad Guna Kata Amruta Pana Matta. When I drink the Amruta of your Krishna Kata, I become mad. In madness, nothing is significant in this world. When a person is mad, one does not care about anything in this world. As a result of that, this material existence becomes insignificant for a mad person. Like the Dhruva is saying. Same way, Prahlad Maharaj also says in the 7th canto, Naivo Dvije Paradhuratye Vaitaranyas Twadvirya Gayana Mahamruta Magna Chitta Soche Tato Vimuka Chetasa Indriyartha Maya Sukaya Baramudvahato Vimudan. I am not disturbed by the insurmountable Vaitarani of the material world. Since my mind is absorbed in the great sweetness of singing your glories. Tadvirya Gayana Maha Amruta Magna Chitta. My chitta is completely magna ho gaya. Kisse? Amrut. Kiska Amrut? Tvad. Yours. Virya Gayana Maha. I lament for the fools who are averse to you, who carry the burden of material responsibilities for gaining material happiness from sense objects. So both Dhruva and Prahlad Maharaj says that one should become mad by hearing Krishna Katha. Only in that madness one can cross over the samsara. Otherwise, it's not possible at all. And here are 3 verses from 2nd canto 8th chapter, wherein Parikshit Maharaj himself says how to become mad. So what do you mean by mad? He said that Trunvato Shraddhaya Nityam Trunvato Shraddhaya Nityam Gunatastha Sushashitam Kalena Na Atidirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hrudi. It is not that one will hear by lecture just like that. By the way, one hears not like that. Krinatascha Sushashitam. One should make endeavor to hear Krishna Katha, to discuss Krishna Katha, to study Krishna Katha. It cannot be just like that. It is actually an act of prime importance. Then only if one does that, how? Shraddhaya, with complete faith, and Nityam, regularly. Kalena na atidirgana, in due course of time, but not after long time. Bhagavan Vishite Hrudi. As we hear more and more about the Lord himself will enter along with the sound vibration into our heart. When Lord enters into our heart, what happens? Pravishta Karnarandrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dunoti Samalam Krishna Saralastha Yatashapat. When Lord enters into our heart, the Lord will remove all the anarthas that are there in our heart. When all the anarthas are removed from our heart becomes like the water body in the Sharat season. So before Sharat season, Sharat comes in the November. There are intense rains from June, July, August, September, October, 4-5 months, there are full rains. After the rains are stopped, after 10 days, when you all leave the waters, so in 10 days, all the mud will settle at the bottom and the water becomes crystal clear. So one will be able to see the base of the water body. Otherwise, in the rainy season, all the water will be completely muddy. We can't see what is there below, beneath the water. But in the Sharat season, when the all complete rains are completely stopped, just wait for 10 days and the entire water body becomes crystal clear. One will be able to see the base very clearly. Same way, when Bhagavan enters into our heart along with the sound vibration of Krishna Katha, the Lord will remove all the anarthas. Then the heart becomes crystal clear. Then we are able to see ourselves and we are able to see Paramatma. And now the Bhagavan who entered very clearly. Then what kind of experience one will go through? Dautatma Purusha Krishna Pada Moolam Namanjati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Pantaswa Sharanam Yata. Just like a merchant who travels to different places in order to earn some money, and after earning sufficient amount of wealth, when he comes home and there was no need for him to go back again for earning money, he feels completely relieved, completely satisfied, and now he is completely devoted to his family members. Still now he was staying away from the home and he was working very hard in the hot sun, but now he earned sufficient amount of wealth for life. Now he stays home and be with the family members. That means after realizing the Supreme Lord, after attaining the Supreme Lord, after reaching one's home, eternal home, one is completely satisfied. There is no need to again come back to material world. That is understanding. And one more verse spoken by Prachetas in the 4th canto. They say that Etre dhyante kata mrushtas Krishnaya prashamo yata Nirvairam etra bhuteshu nodvego etra kashana. So what is the specialty of this Vaishnava association? So what do you mean by one should hear Krishna Katha and become Panamatta, become mad by that? So what are the symptoms of that madness? Of course, there is something real mad also. One is really intoxicated spiritually also. But from our level, from our understanding, becoming mad means in that association, the few topics of the Lord are discussed, from which all anchoring cease. So being mad in hearing Krishna Katha means no material hankering. मुझे ये करना वो करना ये चाहिए वो चाहिए नो कुछ नहीं. Let me only continue to hear Krishna Katha. A mad, matlab, panamatta. A person becomes mad by intoxication. He only wants more and more intoxication. He does not want anything else. Same way, one only anchors more and more Krishna Katha, not anything else. Krishnaya Prashmoyata. That means the material hankering becomes zero. And in that association, there is no hostility to any other living entity. Niru Vaira. There is no more Vaira with any other living entity. And no Dvega Yatra Kashana. There is no more agitation. What is going to happen? What will happen? Because in Vaishnava association, when Krishna Katha is going on, we hear constantly that Jivera Swarupe Krishna Das, Hame Vamsho Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, etc. There we understand that every living entity is an Amsha of the Supreme Lord. And everyone is taken care by the Supreme Lord. Aham Sarvasya Prabhava Mattam Sarvam Pravartate, etc. etc. So one says that everything is the Lord, everything is Lord's energy, everything belongs to Lord, then how why should I envy something? So something like that. At least Prabhupada writes in the translation, at least while listening to Bhagavatam class, these symptoms manifest. If not continuously, but at least during the class hours, it will manifest. Like that. Okay, these are the some hi-fi gold standards, very difficult to attain, but this is what is anticipated, this is what is the goal. Anyone has any question?
No, Prabhuji, thank you.
स एते साधवा साध्वी सर्वसंगा विवर्जिता संगास्तेषु अतते पार्थाय संगदोषा हरायते.
Translation. O my mother, O virtuous lady, these are the qualities of great devotees who are free from all attachment. You must seek attachment to such holy men, for this counteracts the perilous effects of material attachment. Hare Krishna.
O virtuous lady, those devotees are devoid of attachment to dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. The last quality of such a sadhu is they are not at all interested in dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Then what? They are only interested in Krishna prema and Krishna seva. Nothing more than that. Therefore, you should desire their association. They destroy the faults of material association. If you come in their association, one's inclination to material objects will be destroyed. So it is like that. So then here, this verse we can see four things are happening. You should desire. Desiring means you should desire association of sadhus means sadhus ato shraddha. There should be the desire to associate with devotees and practice bhakti. So that is called ado shraddha. That should be there. Then come in the association of sadhus, that is called sadhu sangha. And by which, when we come in the association of sadhus, there are two things will happen. Either we get to hear about the Supreme Lord or we get to serve the Supreme Lord. So both are called Bhajana Kriya. And by that Bhajana Kriya, eventually in due course of time, you can destroy the faults of material association. Artha Nivritti will take place. So this verse is talking about Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Artha Nivritti. That means after identifying a sadhu with all these wonderful qualities, when we come, we develop a desire to associate sadhus, that is Ado Shraddha, come in the association of sadhus, Sadhu Sangha, then hear from them, engage in some service instructed by them, Bhajana Kriya, that will lead to Anartha Nivritti. One's desire for material objects will be destroyed. Sarva Sangha Vivarjita means divide of four goals, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha. So this is what happens when we come to such devotee. That's what is it, na? Prasangam, Ajaram, Pasham, Atmano kavaya vidu sayeva sadhushu kruto moksha dwaram apavrata. When we come in the association of great sadhus like this, moksha dwara will open. How moksha dwara will open? We start practicing bhakti. That bhakti contains 9 stages. Ado shraddha, sada, sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti. In the next verse, we'll talk about Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. How the other stages will manifest. That will be explained in the next verse.
Next,
Uh-huh.
Prabhuji, here in this verse it is said that once one get the associate sadhus, the Sangha dosha is also removed. So what Sangha dosha they are talking?
Material association, anything. Any Sangha dosha means anything that is cause of bondage. We become freed from that. We become disinterested from that.
So like in material association we develop attachment to the this world, so that is removed.
See, we don't have to get to details. Anything that is a cause of bondage, one should become freed from that. What all for a different person may be different things.
Okay, so everything, anything which is unfavorable to our bhakti is removed.
Ah.
Okay.
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido.
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido.
Bhavanti rutkarna rasayana katha.
Bhavanti shritkarna rasayana katha.
Tajjoshanaadasu apavarga vartmani.
Tajjoshanada swapavargavatmani.
Shraddha ratirбhaktiranukramishati.
Shraddha ratirbhaktiranukramishati. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the past tense and activities of the Supreme Personality of God is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin.
Fifth one, from association with the best devotees, prasangan. So we are also associated with devotees, but all these things to manifest quickly, we need to associate with best devotees. Topics of my glorious pastimes become directly realized. Mama virya samvido, bringing the devotees to Nishta platform. After Nartha Nivritti, there comes Nishta. Then the topics becomes an elixir for the heart, and here at the stage of Ruchi. Katha Ritkarna Rasayana Bhavanti. So Krishna Katha becomes elixir. It is becoming as a intoxicant. And then by tasting that Krishna Katha elixir, by taste Tadjoshanad for these topics, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema for the Supreme Lord, who is the destroyer of material life, quickly develops in sequence. Ashu Anukrami, Ashu means very quickly, develops one after the other. Shraddha indicates Asakti. Rati indicates Bhava. Bhakti indicates Prema Bhakti. All these things will manifest one after the other. Such an association also gradually bestows Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. Only by association with devotees that the mind develop attraction to the Lord. The stages are described here. The previous verse mentioned that association, sadhusanga, should be desired, that is Ado Shraddha. Then first faith first arises. From excellent association of devotees, the stories of my pastimes become nectar for the ears. From inferior association, there is only bhajana kriya, but the stories do not become nectar. So I'm sorry to say this, but to some extent, we may be in this state. So we are associating with devotees, but they may not be excellent devotees. As a result of that, we are still in the platform of Bhajana Kriya. But when we associate with some excellent devotees, some wonderful devotees, we move from Bhajana Kriya to Anartha Nivritti, and then we come to the platform of Nishta. Because at the stage of Nishta, what one hears is not no more theory. It is actually a practical reality. For that, at least, to transcend from the Bhajana Kriya platform to Nishta platform, we need to associate with pure devotees. Otherwise, we'll continue to remain in Bhajana Kriya only. Thus, from excellent association, the stories cause Anartha Nivritti. Then, those stories cause Nishta. Those stories become directly realized, direct realization of my wonderful qualities. And then those topics produce ruchi. They are pleasing to the ear and heart. From the taste of those topics, asakti, bhava, which destroys middle existence, appears. And finally, prema comes after bhava. So this is how one after the other, all 9 stages of bhakti will manifest. The bhakti explain, okay, before this point. So, but one thing, for all these two things to take place in sequence and quickly, the prerequisite is to find out a pure devotee and associate such a pure devotee who has all the wonderful qualities that are mentioned in the previous verses. This is the process which Lord Kapila is recommending to Mother Devahuti. And then he says that, finally says that the bhakti explained by me now will be preached in the world following this sequence. In the future, this bhakti consisting of all these stages will be propagated. That is what we are hearing in NOD, in Bhakti Sam Sindhu. And this has been taught by Lord Kapila at the beginning of the very creation. Since then it is coming same bhakti. There is no new invention. So like that. So Lord Kapila, having stated that Adhyatmika Yoga is the only solution, Adhyatmika Yoga contains 3 things: Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. All these 3 things have certain rules and regulations, do's and don'ts to be followed. And among the 3, Bhakti is the most auspicious path, and that Bhakti can be obtained by associational devotees. Who are the devotees? And by associating the devotees, what happens? Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Nishta, Ruchi, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema comes. So in this way, Bhakti briefly mentioned. When he talks about Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga in the next 2 verses, very briefly. 26 talks about Ashtanga Yoga, 27 talks about Jnana Yoga. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, as it is emphasized in this shloka, that we should associate with more advanced devotees, but how to, in the situation that we stay, how to seek that, or if we know, or how do we understand these devotees are more and more advanced, and
no, everything is told now. The qualities are mentioned. In whomsoever you see all these qualities, consider them to be the wonderful devotees and take their association. Tidikshava, Karunika, Suhruda, Sarvabhutanam, Shantava. So all these things are there. And then other qualities also. Whatever is being indicated. So we need to follow them.
Okay.
Especially that Mayananya Bhavena Bhaktim Kurvanti Drudam Matruta Tekta Karmana Tekta Sajana Bandava Madashraya Katam Rishashtunvanti Katam Tedapanti Vidistapa Naitam Madgatchetsa Sayeta Sadava Sadvi Sarvasanga Vivarjita. So these 2.5 verses talking about primary qualities, and 1 verse before that talking about secondary characteristics. So whoever has all these things, they should be considered as excellent devotees, prasanga, and their association will quickly remove Anartha Nivritti and bring us to the platform of Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. Otherwise, we are not denying that we are not associated devotees, we are associated devotees, but for most of the time, the Bhajana Kriya only will continue. Anartha से पार करके निष्ठा तक पहुंचना हो तो we need to seek the association of such devotees. That's what I am not saying. Lord Kapila is saying.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी,
हाँ.
दंडवत प्रणाम।
Yes, Mataji.
प्रभु जी, इसमें जैसे बताया हुआ कि साधु एसोसिएशन से हम प्रेमा तक पहुंच सकते हैं। प्रभु जी, हम लोग जैसे गुरु महाराज का एसोसिएशन लेते हैं, सर्विसेज है, सब करते हैं, लेकिन जितना अभी न्यूफाइट स्टेज है, अनर्थास आर देयर, सो स्टिल देयर इज होप, बिकॉज हियर Lord Kapila is saying like that you will reach to goal of prema.
See, you are not getting the point. The point is Ashu Apavarga Vartmani. Here we are talking about Ashu quickly. If you want it quickly, this is the means. Otherwise, it will take its own time. The Anartha Nivurti itself will take time. Like that, we have to understand. See, don't bring in persons. So that becomes again judgmental thing. Here we are not taking anyone's name. We are just discussing about the process.
Yes, okay, I got. Because of this sadhu sangha, you will get faster. For a general practice is that. Okay, yes. Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Understood.
Prabhuji, one more question I had. May I ask?
Please.
Yes. Prabhuji, here the sangha that has been mentioned, is it the Vapu sangha, matlab in-person association, or like we read Srila Prabhupada books, even that is considered?
One second. When Lord Kapila was speaking, it was long back in Satyuga. So in all other times, it is always a personal association. But today, because of the circumstances, we may not have the personal association so much. So we emphasize the importance of Vani Sangha and all. But in the past, it was mostly everyone used to have personal association of their gurus. It was not so difficult like nowadays. So now the things are a little different. Since we cannot have personal association so much, at least whatever we can get in the form of books or one recorded lecture and all that. But they cannot replace personal association. If there is personal association, means there is personal instruction, personal opening of the heart, and personal you can say counseling or whatever it is. That is also required. We cannot remove it completely. Okay, we'll time okay quickly 2-3 verses more. With that, this section is over. We'll stop then. Bhaktya pumanjata viraga indriyat.
Bhaktya pumanjata viraga indriyat.
Drishta shrutanmad rachananu chintaya.
Drishta shrutanmad rachananu chintaya.
Chittasya yatto grahane yoga yukto.
Chittasya yatto grahane yoga yukto.
Yatishyate rujubir yoga margai.
Yatishyate rujubir yoga margai. Thus, consciously engaged in devotional service in the association of devotees, a person gains distaste for sense gratification both in this world and in the next by constantly thinking about the activities of the Lord. This process of Krishna consciousness is the easiest process of mystic power when one is actually situated on that path of devotional service. He is able to control the mind. Hare Krishna.
So Srila Prabhupada translates the entire verse from bhakti point of view only, and that is also that is okay. And also that this verse talks about Ashtanga Yoga also. So by Ashtanga Yoga also one attains the corresponding result in the form of Sahaja Mukti. So that process has been briefly summarized in this verse. The human being disgusted with sense happiness, Jata Viraga Indriyad. In order to practice Ashtanga Yoga, the prerequisite is Vairagya, complete detachment from this material world. That is a prerequisite. And Vairagya from what? Vairagya from this life and Pravagya from the next life. One does not have any plans to go to Swarga. One does not have any plans to get birth in aristocratic family like that. One is completely disinterested in this material world. One is only one whole aim is go out of this material world, attain Sahaja Mukti or Sarishti or Salokya Mukti. No more in this world. That is called Vairagya. So the human being disgusted with sense happiness in this life or in the next life, contemplating my pastimes with devotion and making effort to control his mind as he engages in Ashtanga Yoga. In the future, he will endeavor on the correct path of yoga as taught by me. That means Lord Kapila will teach about Ashtanga Yoga in 20th chapter. Following all the sequence of steps which are mentioned in 20th chapter, he will attain perfection. So like that. And this process will be propagated in the future, and many people will follow this process like that. Lord Kapila is telling. Having described pure bhakti, Lord Kapila now describes Ashtanga Yoga. The yogi develops distaste for happiness visible in this life or heard about the happiness in the next life in Swarga. We hear from the Vedas that Swarga, if you go to Swarga, you will get so and so happiness. So one develops inclination to go to Swarga. But this person is not interested in the happiness in this current life or in the future life. Being engaged in Ashtanga Yoga by thinking of my pastimes, endeavoring for control of the mind, he will endeavor by the correct path of Ashtanga Yoga, made easy because of mixing it with Bhakti Mishra Yoga. In the future, men will endeavor on this path, which I will teach, I will establish in chapter 28. So basically, Lord Kapila is telling that following this Ashtanga Yoga, in which the most important activity is during the stage of Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, one will meditate upon my pastimes by looking at my transcendental form, Paramatma, in the core of the heart. And that makes this process easy and one attains the result very quickly. Practicing this yoga, which is made easy by the bhakti, the yogi will attain Sahaja. The Ashtanga yogis aspire for Sahaja, they will attain Sahaja very quickly. Because the path made easy by bhakti, which is meditating upon the Supreme Lord. We will discuss about this meditation and all elaborately in chapter 28. And Lord Kapila says that just like bhakti will be propagated in the future, consisting of 9 stages, this Ashtanga Yoga consisting of 8 stages also will be propagated very widely in the future, and many people will practice it and perfect their lives. And lastly, he talks about the Jnana Yoga in 27th verse. Asevayaham prakrite gunanam
Asevayayam Prakritirgunana
Jnanena vairagya vijrumbitena
Jnanena vairagya vijrumbitena
Yogena mayarpitaya cha bhaktya
Yogena maya arpitaya cha bhaktya
Mam pratyagatmanamivavarunde
Mam pratyagatmanamiva ihavarundhe. Thus, by not engaging in the service of modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge in renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life. For I am the Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth.
Again, Srila Prabhupada translate the entire verse from Bhakti perspective only. So that is fine. That is very good. And now, if we see the same verse from the Jnana perspective, it is like this. By Jnana Yoga, manifested with detachment. Even for practicing Jnana also, one need to have sufficient amount of Vairagya. So without Vairagya, it is very difficult to practice Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Of course, even for Bhakti also we need Vairagya. Otherwise we cannot practice. By Jnana manifested with detachment, without serving the objects of material gunas. That means no more sense gratification. Accompanied by secondary yoga and by bhakti offered to me. So while practicing Jnana Yoga, one should also practice little bit bhakti and little bit yoga. A person attains the impersonal Brahman in this very lifetime. Mam pratyagatmam iha avarunde. Having explained Ashtanga Yoga, Lord Kapila now explains Jnana. By Jnana, which does not serve the objects made of Prakriti's gunas, achieved through Nishkama Karma, one attains me in the form of Tat, means Brahman or Pratyagatma. That is Sahitya Mukti. So basically, the understanding is that as a householder, one should practice Nishkama Karma Yoga. As a result of that, one becomes completely disinterested in the material comforts and material happiness. Then one takes on to Vanaprastha or Sannyasa, then one is completely dedicated to Jnana practice. So in Jnana practice, one comes to platform of Brahmabhuta platform. Then, if one does not want to wait till the natural death, one can take shelter of Ashtanga Yoga, raising prana from the Mooladhara Chakra to to Ajna Chakra and then passing to Brahmarandra, can attain immediately Sahajya Mukti or Sarishti Mukti, according to the desire of the practitioner. But in any case, so in order to practice and perfect Jnana, one need the assistance of Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti. When there is Bhakti, the Jnana becomes easy. Yoga included as an Anga of Jnana. Bhakti is also included since Jnana cannot give results without Bhakti. That means the yoga process includes both Ashtanga Yoga as well as Bhakti Yoga. Whether Ashtanga Yoga is there or not, Bhakti Yoga should be there. Without Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga does not give any results. Practice of primarily Jnana with secondary process of Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti leads to impersonal liberation, that is Sahajya Mukti. So the devotees will go to spiritual world, that is Vaikuntha, and Jnanis and Ashtanga Yogis primarily aspire to enter into Brahman, and secondarily they might aspire to enter into Vaikuntha. They may get Salokya or Sarishti. So these are the processes in brief, and these are the destinations in brief. And how do we get it? By the association of devotees, and what are the do's and don'ts? Everything has been indicated by Lord Kapila in briefly. And these things will be elaborated in the future chapters because Mother Devahuti asked a question. In next 3 verses, Mother Devahuti asks a couple of questions. As an answer to all these questions, Lord Kapila will talk about Bhakti elaborately, will talk about Jnana Yoga, will talk about Ashtanga Yoga elaborately in the next 2.5 chapters. We'll just quickly see these 3 verses and close for today. Devahuti Ruvacha
Devahuti
Kachitvai Uchita Bhakti
Kachitvai Uchita Bhakti
Kidrishi Mama Gochara
Kidrishi Mama Gochara
Yaya Padam Te Nirvanam
Yaya Padam Te Nirvanam
Anjasan Vasnava Aham.
Anjasan Vasana Svama Aham.
Okay. I will read the
Translation.
translation. I will read.
Yeah.
Devahuti said, what type of bhakti is suitable to you? Kachit Vaya Uchita Bhakti. Because there Lord Kapila told in the previous section, you need to practice one type of bhakti, which is considered to be the most auspicious path. Now, what is that one type of bhakti? What kind of bhakti I need to practice? What type of bhakti is suitable to you, and what is possible for a person like me, who is a woman, by which I can attain your feet full of bliss? This is the first question. In verse 19, Lord Kapila mentioned that bhakti is suitable for the Lord. Sadrishosti Siva Panta Yoginam Brahma Siddhaye. Because of hearing the excellence of such bhakti, she mentions this. What is possible to know and do? Mother Devahuti says that what is possible to understand and follow, especially for a woman like me, by which I can attain your lotus feet, the very form of complete bliss. What kind of bhakti should I perform to easily attain you? This is the first question. Medini says, Nirvana means extinction, bliss, bathing of an elephant, joining and liberation. Or Nirvana can mean without obstacles. That means I will attain your feet without any obstacles immediately. So please teach me that bhakti following which I can attain you very quickly without much obstacles. So this is the first question. And this question is answered in the rest of the 25th chapter. The entire 26th chapter will talk about that bhakti, practicing which one can attain the Supreme Lord easily, quickly, without any obstacles. He speaks elaborately in this entire chapter. So here there is a verse from 5th canto 19th chapter which talks about the Lord certainly gives desired objects to devotees who request them, but he does not give those objects in such a way that the devotees will ask again after finishing the enjoyment. That means Artho Jignashurartharthi Jnanicha Varshadval. People in general, when they come to Supreme Lord, they ask for something in return immediately. So the Supreme Lord will fulfill their desires, but not to increase their hankering for material objects. He fulfills in such a way that they will lose the interest of getting those material objects. How? In other words, he gives his lotus feet, which includes all desirables, to those worshippers who do not even desire them. When a normal person comes to Supreme Lord, they will not ask Lord's lotus feet. But Lord on his own gives his own lotus feet. By tasting the nectar of that lotus feet, one does not hanker for any material objects. So this is the specialty of the Supreme Lord. So this kind of bhakti Mother Devati is asking for, and if we get that, one does not hang look here and there. The practitioner of pure bhakti, even if he has desires, becomes successful because he becomes equal to the Nishkama Bhakta in due course of time. Even though one is coming to Supreme Lord with desires, but in due course of time, after experiencing the bliss of Lord's lotus feet, one becomes Nishkama Bhakta. Thus, the Lord gives himself to those who do not desire his lotus feet, such as Dhruva. By mercy, he gives his lotus feet, which includes all desirables. Initially, Dhruva Maharaj came to Supreme Lord asking for some kingdom, but Lord gave his own lotus feet. Dhruva Maharaj says, I don't want anything else. I just want your lotus feet. So it is like that. Or another meaning is, he forcefully gives his feet, which destroys all other material desires or hankerings. This is the specialty of the Supreme Lord. This is how Lord takes us back to Godhead. Just as a father gives the child sugar candy, though the child does not want it, and that way make the child give up eating dirt. So the Lord gives the devotee his lotus feet, and that way the devotee gives up material endeavors. Especially when small kids are there, they keep eating whatever they have. So to avoid it, the father or mother puts a small chocolate in the mouth, or sugar candy in the mouth. Not chocolate. Chocolate is not good. Sugar candy. So that while chewing the sugar candy, they'll forget about all other material objects around. So in that way, we are also like children. We want here and there. So we will, when we are given the sugar candy, we only clicking the sugar candy, and we are not looking here and there. So that is how. Therefore, one should worship the Lord without a mixture of jnana or karma. Tivrena bhakti yogena ejata purusham para. However, the attainment of the lotus feet of the Lord by Nishkama or Sakama bhaktas should not be considered the same in all ways. That which is pure by nature, that is Nishkama Bhakti, and that which is purified by force do not have the same value. So an example is shown here. Thus, the excellence of Hanuman is greater than that of Dhruva. So Hanumanji is an example of Nishkama Bhakti. From the very beginning, he does not have any material motives. He just came to Lord Rama to serve purely out of devotion. But Dhruva Maharaj came to Supreme Lord with a material desire. But eventually was completely purified. But still, whatever it is, the Hanumanji is considered to be Nishkama Bhakta. Dhruva Maharaj is considered to be Sakama Bhakta. So like that. The same thing we can see from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where this verse is very much famous. Prabhupada always quotes. Krishna kahe ama baje maga vishesuk amrutachadi vishamage e bada murk. When people come to serve the Lord, but they are asking for material desires. So Lord says, "Ye to bada murk hai. He is coming to worship me, and but asking for material desires. Ami vigna, ei murka. He may be foolish. You don't know what to ask, but I know what to give. So visha kena deba. Why should I give visha? Charanamrita diya, Vishaya Bulaiba. I'll give my lotus feet so that he will forget the Vishaya. So in that way, the Lord will protect us always. So basically, the first question is, what kind of bhakti I should perform so that even a person like me can easily attain you can quickly and easily attain you without much obstacles in the practice. So Lord Kapila will answer that in the rest of the chapter. In the next question, she will also ask about, please tell me that jnana and yoga which you introduced, and what is the process, what are the goals, etc., etc. She will ask. Yo yogo bhagavadbano
Yo yogo bhagavadbano
निर्वाणात्मां त्रयोदितः
nirvan atmastrayo dita
कीदृशा कटिचाङ्गानि
idrisa kadijangani
यतस्तत्त्वावबोधनम्.
yata tattva badhodanam.
Here she says that what is the Ashtanga Yoga mentioned by you, which is aimed at the Lord for liberation, and what is the Jnana Yoga by which one understands various tattvas or the elements? How many limbs does it have? So please, you have briefly talked about Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga, but please elaborate what it means, how to practice, etc. Explain the processes of Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga. How many limbs do they have? I should know and perform Bhakti approved by you. Yes, since you recommended me Bhakti, I will understand, but I should understand Bhakti. So therefore, please explain me about Bhakti in detail. What kind of Bhakti I should perform, and which is approved by you. However, it is said that the inquisitive person knows his own idea. As a devotee, a inquisitive person may wants to know everything about Bhakti. Yeah, that is natural. But intelligent people knows others' ideas as well. Thus, I should also inquire about yoga and jnana. A inquisitive person may know one's own idea, what one's supposed to do. But an intelligent person also knows about others' ideas. So that even in future, some doubt may come in one's own execution, saying that this is too difficult to execute, other process might be very easy. I should have known about them, how to do it. I wasted so much time. That kind of doubts might come. Or somebody else might say that, why are you practicing Bhakti? Ashtanga is very easy, this, that. Other people may try to tempt us. But if we know all the three processes properly, we thoroughly, and we can then we make a choice among the three, then we stick to that. We cannot move here and there. For that reason, the intelligent people knows others' ideas as well. Thus, I should also inquire about Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana. So like that, with that intention, she is asking about, please speak about Yoga and Jnana and how many limbs do they have. Bhagavad Bhana means the process of yoga aimed like an arrow at the Lord. It is for producing liberation. And what is the knowledge from that? One understand the elements. So, Lord Kapila will speak about the Jnana and the perfect process of Jnana and perfection of Jnana in 27, 28, 26, 27 chapters. And the process of Ashtanga Yoga I will speak in 28th chapter. So remaining 25th chapter, Lord Kapila speaks about Bhakti. 26th and 27 he speaks about Jnana. 28th he speaks about Ashtanga Yoga. In this way, all these three processes are completely explained so that one will understand about all these three and one will select one among the three and one will be following that path alone with firm conviction instead of looking here and there. So with that intention, Mother Devahuti asking the question and Lord Kapila will talk about all these things. The last verse for today, Mother Devahuti is speaking. Tadetanme vijanihi
तदेतान्मे विजानीहि
yataham mandadhir hare
यताहं मन्दधीर्हरे
sukam buddheya durbodham
सुखं बुद्धेय दुर्बुद्धं
yosha bhavad anugrahat.
योषा भवात् अनुग्रहात्.
O Lord, therefore, tell this to me so that I, an unintelligent woman, can easily understand what is difficult to understand by your mercy. He's telling that I am an unintelligent woman. It is very difficult for me to understand anything. But if you explain in such a way, even I can understand. That will be a great benefit to the entire society. So like that she is asking. Please explain all this so that even an intelligent woman like me can also easily understand. Okay. As an answer to Mother Devhuti's inquiries, Lord Kapila will explain Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga in next 3.5 chapters. So we need to discuss this section very scrutinizingly. So we need a good amount of time. So request all the devotees to be there for every class without missing in the upcoming sessions. So with that, we'll stop here for today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Gauranga Shakti Mataji.
Jai Prabhuji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, bro.
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, discussion on Bhakti Yoga is not complete yet. Like,